So in this video today, I'm going to be reviewing the new AXGLO 3 electric cart. As you see, it's got this remote here, and I'm not controlling it because it's got a follow feature. So I can just drop that, and it still comes to me. Well, maybe I should have dropped that earlier in the video, so it still followed. But you get the idea. Let's go. Might need this. So this video is gonna be a little bit different than normal. I tried testing this on the course and it worked, but my video equipment didn't quite work out for me. So we're gonna try it out in this little park today. That's got some really thick grass that we can pretend is just some US Open rough. All right, so let's check out the new AXGLO E3 electric cart. Well, let's go. As you can see, it follows pretty close behind, but nothing too scary. If I stop, it stops. I go. Goes. It takes a little time for it to warm up to going, but it's not too bad. That's pretty reactive and it has no problem. I'm just at this park testing it, and this is some thick grass we're trudging through right here in this park, and I have no issues with it. So overall, if you're looking for an electric cart with that following feature, I would highly recommend this bad boy, because honestly, I had no real issues. There was some problems while I was recording, trying to get this used, but it seemed like there's just little tight little areas where probably if you're on a course, you're not gonna really run into that feature too much. It's great. This grass is so thick. This thing never got stuck. It got close, but it never actually got stuck. So you know you can take this just about anywhere without worrying about that thing getting stuck on you. You see this thing's pretty responsive when you use the remote. I'm actually getting buzzing once it gets so far. Oh, see, that's some pretty thick rough. It didn't get stuck. Those gnarly tires really do keep it able to go over most any terrain. But this remote, I would say, is very responsive. So I've been able to so far get this to go about 25 yards before I lose signal. And it buzzes you quite frequently to let you know that you're starting to get out of range. You shouldn't ever have a problem of knowing if you're out of range or not. And as you can see, it's still going at quite a distance for me. So let's see how far I can get this thing to go. And again, it's still pretty responsive when I'm turning. Again, not too many issues. I'm able to get all the way to that path. And now I've just clicked the Rover feature on and it's coming right at me at a pretty straight line. It seems the only issues I really ever have is when I'm in tight quarters. It does get kind of confused if it should go left, right, whichever direction. But for the most part, on big open areas, this thing's pretty straight. So it really isn't issues. And again, it stops at a reasonable distance from you. It's right next to me, no problems. Just push the lock button to lock or unlock it. And if it's locked, it'll give you a vibration and the cart won't move. If you push it again, you're able to move it with the controller, which honestly, this controller is really great. And if it seems to get stuck, it does give you a little bit of a vibration on the remote, letting you know there might be some kind of issue going on, which is a really handy feature if it's behind you and for some reason it gets stuck in a little pothole or something. So that's nice. And then if you want it to follow you, you just push the little doggy button there, and here he comes. Hands off. He's coming towards me. I just bring the remote a little closer. He gets closer. Hey buddy, go fetch. So if you're really bored, you can always do that, I guess. This is well over my ankles, so yeah, this thing's able to go through pretty much anything you can imagine. So for full disclosure, AXGLO did send me the cart and the bag, but they don't get to see this video before I send it. And I signed something that said, I can't speak bad about them, so I won't. But honestly, there's nothing bad to speak. The fact that they sent me this is pretty incredible, and so far, so good. So while the remote is great, it is a little bit cumbersome to keep in your pocket, so I do find that a bit annoying, but it's not bad overall. But I am impressed with the responsiveness of it. I can't talk. And I do enjoy how easy it is. Fresh out of the box, I had no problem figuring out how to use this thing, as it was pretty intuitive on how to use, which is always nice. I didn't have to read any instructions just to use this thing. which truthfully is always a win-win. So I did like that as a 4-wheel cart, put 2 independent wheels at the front, as it does keep it very stable. I had no issues with a little extra like wheel at the back to keep it from tipping over. And I'll be honest, I tried to tip this over quite a bit just for fun, and I never had an issue with it. There is within reason, of course. Probably shouldn't drive it off a cliff. Probably won't stay upright. And the battery, I did charge it overnight. It does say in the instructions for a full charge, I believe it was about 6 hours. I'll double check and throw the actual number up on the graphic if I'm wrong, which, let's be truthful, I probably am. How's this shot? I don't know what I'm doing today. This is just some run and gun in a park today, since I don't know how to film at a golf course anymore, because it's too hard filming on a golf course with an electric cart for me, because I'm not a good golfer and I don't have a team. It's just me that does all this. So yeah, this is what you get. You get me in a park with an electric cart trying to simulate things. And I thought there was a hill here, and there's no hill. And there's dogs barking all the time. So if you hear a dog bark, I'm sorry, but not really, because they're very friendly dogs. They do have different options on the website for a 36-hole electric cart and a 48-hole. This one is a 36, I believe, and I played 2.5 rounds so far. Again, one of those is executive course and another was a par 3, and no problems. So again, that was probably the equivalent of 36 holes, and I'm still messing with it, trying to run that battery down, and it's just staying charged. So the battery's good. So one thing I do have to note, if your battery were to die, you can still push this cart, and there is a manual mode that they do recommend you using if you have to go across any bridges over water, or say there's some tight, narrow areas with maybe cliffs or hills or, again, water. You probably don't want the Rover just doing its thing and lemmoning off the cliff into the abyss, because that would suck. So they do recommend you push it. Just do know it is a little hard to push. It's kind of heavy, and feel like there's a little bit of resistance even if I turn it off. So just note that it can be a little challenging. Nothing like drastic, just it doesn't roll as easy as, say, other just a regular push cart. So do know that. But again, if you're buying this, you're probably buying it for the electric part, not the manual part. So how often are you gonna really manually push it? Just note that. Just don't forget to charge your battery. Quite a bit of juice out of one charge, but don't forget to charge it still. And there was something else I was talking about, but I forgot what it was. Cool. I like when I forget to push record and I go on a tangent and then realize I didn't push record and then can't remember what I was tangenting about. It's always fun. But overall, the quality of this thing, I must say, I'm impressed. I've got no knocks. And at the price point, that which again, I'll provide over here on what the actual US and Canadian, because don't you know, they're Canadian and they just provide me Canadian prices. So you gotta figure out the US prices, and then here we are. And I'll just throw that there because I don't wanna look on my phone right now, because I'm lazy. Quality of the build of this is second to none, really. There's nothing I can knock. There's metal where there should be metal. There's plastic where you assume there'd be plastic. It does seem to get a little dirty quite easily, but I mean, that's really not a knock. That's just any cart that goes through mud and dirt and grass. And having the dual little motors on each wheel just makes life so much easier. And I did notice when this thing's in lock mode, it's almost impossible to move. So that's nice to know. If you're parked it on the hill, you don't have to worry about it scooting down or sliding, because there's numerous times while I was using it on the course, kind of hit myself in the you know what regions. Didn't feel so good. But nice knowing it's not just gonna roll down a hill if I'm not attending it. That's the word. So being able to have a cart at this price point with that Rover feature is really awesome and really great. And honestly, the quality of this thing doesn't speak its price. Folding and unfolding might be one of the easiest carts I've ever used. It really requires little effort. To unfold the bottom part here, it does take a little bit of time. You do kind of have to put your foot on it sometimes to get it go, but overall, not that bad. The weight of this I found not to be too much of an issue. Once folded up, it was easy to put into the back of my car. Not too heavy. It's not the lightest thing, but for an electric cart, I would say it's not too shabby. And being 6'7", I do enjoy that it's easy and right at my waist height for these handles. Some people might want this a little bit lower, but being 6'7", it's a nice height. And when I use this bag, it can get even higher. And they asked that I talked about the bag a little bit. So here we are to the bag portion. While the bag is pretty much an ordinary bag and what you expect for its price point, it's not too bad, but I do like that it is kind of built for that cart. So getting your clubs and everything's a lot easier to get out of that than my own bag, which I did use most of the time for this, as I just had all my stuff in there. It was just easier to use the cart, because let's be real, we're all here to know what the cart's like. Bag doesn't do anything extraordinary. It doesn't do anything bad at all. And I do like that there's a dry pocket, which is always a key to my heart. While I'm not a fan of this little putter well here, and you might think it's an umbrella well, but there's an umbrella well on the other side. I wish they would put the putter well a little more to the side of the cooler pocket, so it's not taking up a good like third of the cooler pocket, pocket, which just seems kind of silly because that would be a very nice sized cooler pocket if the tube didn't go in there, and there really seems like that could have been avoided if they just kind of squeeze that over a bit. Overall, the bag's good. It's got nice zippers. I like the little handles on the zippers. Again, not gonna do anything amazing, but not gonna do anything bad. It's got 14-way slot, which is nice because I don't like hearing my gloves jingle, especially when that thing's following behind me. So overall, the bag, it's good, not amazing. If you wanna get a bag that goes with the cart, cool. If you wanna use your own, cool. I honestly cannot say enough good things about this thing. I really want to just bash on it a little bit, but you can't knock something that's quality. Nothing about it feels cheap or flimsy outside of those little magnet pockets, but every cart I've ever used that has those little pockets up there with using a magnet, not like a bungee keeping down, is always an issue. So just be wary of putting anything in that pocket because there's a good chance it's gonna bounce around and probably come undone. It doesn't matter how strong those magnets are, it feels like. And they did provide me a link to get $100 off Canadian, so whatever that equals in American, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, they're Canadian, so it's what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying, eh? But that cart might be one of the best things I've tested since I've started this YouTube channel. And I won't lie, I'm obsessed with it now. Wasn't sure about it, but having that follow feature makes me just want to walk courses more, which I generally try to, but I do get tired of pushing carts. So if you're looking for an electric cart, check out the AXGLO E3 and let them know Sean sent you over. I don't know how you're gonna let them know, but try and let them know because that'd be cool. All right, see ya.